The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council chamber sparkled under three suns. Inside, Ambassador James Miller sat straight-backed in his chair, maintaining a calm expression while alien representatives from 27 civilizations talked down to humanity once again. "Your species must understand," droned Representative Gray, a tall insectoid being, its antennae twitching with barely concealed disdain. "Earth's biological resources are unique. The Council requires greater access to your genetic libraries." Miller glanced at his datapad, counting silently. This marked the 412th demand from the Council this year alone. Beside him, his assistant Tom Parker kept detailed notes, though his white-knuckled grip on his stylus betrayed his frustration. "And what does Earth receive in return?" Miller asked, his voice steady. The chamber fell silent. Humans weren't expected to question Council demands. Representative Blue, a floating orb of light, pulsed with annoyance. "You receive our protection, of course. Our guidance. Is that not enough?" Miller thought about the last 15 years. Humanity had joined the galactic community with hope and excitement. They'd shared their medical knowledge, their unique problem-solving abilities, their military support against space pirates. Earth had given and given, following every rule, jumping through every hoop. In return, they'd received restrictions on their expansion, limited access to alien technologies, and constant criticism of their primitive ways. "Ambassador Miller," rumbled Representative Black, a massive being covered in dark scales, "we require your answer regarding increased access to Earth's biological database." Miller stood up slowly. The motion caught everyone's attention. Humans usually remained seated unless given permission to rise. He straightened his blue diplomatic uniform and looked around the chamber. "Representatives of the Galactic Council," he began, his voice carrying clearly through the vast space. "For 15 years, humanity has been a member of this community. We have contributed our resources, our innovation, our military strength. We have followed your regulations, often at great cost to our own development." Several representatives shifted uncomfortably. They weren't used to humans speaking so directly. "In return," Miller continued, "we have faced constant demands, restrictions, and condescension. Today's request is just one more example of the Council taking without giving. Therefore, I am authorized to announce humanity's decision." The chamber grew tense. Representative Gray's antennae froze mid-twitch. "Earth is withdrawing from all galactic affairs, effective immediately." The announcement hit like a physical force. Representative Blue flickered rapidly. Representative Black's scales rattled in surprise. "You cannot simply withdraw," Representative Gray chittered. "There are protocols, agreements, all of which include withdrawal clauses," Miller interrupted smoothly. "We've studied them carefully. Humanity will honor its existing contracts during a 6-month transition period. After that, Earth's borders will close to all alien traffic. Our embassies will shut down. Our ships will return home." "This is outrageous." Representative Blue pulsed so brightly it hurt to look at them. "The Council does not accept." "The Council's acceptance is not required," Miller stated firmly. "This is not a negotiation. It is a notification." He nodded to Tom, who stood and began gathering their materials. The chamber erupted in chaos as representatives shouted and argued. Some demanded immediate sanctions against Earth. Others called for Miller's arrest. Miller ignored them all. He had one more thing to say. "A wise human once wrote that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting different results. For 15 years, we've tried to earn your respect through compliance. It hasn't worked. Perhaps our absence will speak louder than our cooperation ever did." With that, he turned and walked toward the chamber's exit, Tom following close behind. The guards moved to block their path, but Miller held up a small device. "Diplomatic immunity is still in effect for 6 more months. I wouldn't recommend testing those protocols." The guards stepped aside. As the chamber doors closed behind them, Miller heard the beginning of what would become a galactic crisis. But for the first time in 15 years, he felt like humanity had taken back control of its destiny. "Send the signal," he told Tom. "Tell them to start coming home." The shutdown of human embassies across the galaxy happened with military precision. Within 24 hours of Miller's announcement, Earth's diplomatic outposts began their carefully planned evacuation procedures. On the trading world of Port Haven, humans quietly sold their properties at low prices. Shop owners closed their businesses overnight, leaving alien customers stunned to find permanently closed signs on their favorite Earth food restaurants and technology repair shops. "They can't actually be serious," muttered Trade Master Green, watching from his tower as another human transport ship lifted off from the spaceport. His 6 eyes blinked rapidly as he checked the manifest. That was the 4th ship today, loaded with Earth citizens and their belongings. In the Galactic Center, alien news networks buzzed with a mix of outrage and amusement. "Humans throw tantrum. Abandon posts," read one headline. "Earth isolates itself. Good riddance," proclaimed another. Most alien species viewed humanity's departure as a brief protest that would end once humans realized their mistake. They were wrong. Day after day, human ships withdrew from their patrol routes. Space pirates, who had learned to fear the sight of Earth's military vessels, began cautiously testing the gaps in coverage. The humans had been guarding the most dangerous sectors of space, sectors that other species avoided. "Let them leave," declared Representative Gray in a public statement. "The galaxy survived before humans, and it will survive after them." His words were met with cheers from many alien citizens who had grown tired of humans' rapid advancement and constant questions. But not everyone celebrated. In her private laboratory, Dr. White, one of the galaxy's leading medical researchers, stared at her latest failed experiment. Without access to human genetic samples, her work on universal healing factors had ground to a halt. She wasn't the only one facing such problems. On Earth, the return of their people continued steadily. Space traffic controllers worked around the clock, coordinating the massive influx of ships. Cities expanded temporary housing to accommodate returning colonists. Every day, more humans arrived, bringing stories of alien reactions to their departure. "They laughed when we left," reported Captain Robert Wilson, after docking his merchant vessel. "Said we'd come crawling back within a week." He shrugged as he handed over his ship's log. "Didn't laugh so much when they realized we were taking our medical supplies with us." In orbit around Earth, the planetary defense grid grew stronger as returning military ships took up defensive positions. Automated warnings broadcast on all frequencies. "You are approaching Earth space. Access is restricted. Turn back immediately." Some alien ships tried to push through anyway. They discovered that humans had not been bluffing about their defensive capabilities. In his office at Earth Defense Command, Miller reviewed the latest reports. The withdrawal was proceeding faster than expected. Already, 90% of Earth's citizens had returned home. The remaining 10% were essential personnel overseeing the final stages of the shutdown. "Latest message from the Council, sir," Tom said, handing over a data crystal. "They're demanding we reverse our decision or face sanctions." Miller placed the crystal on his desk without viewing it. "Add it to the others. Any word from our last embassy on Central Station?" "Closing down today, sir. Ambassador Taylor reports all sensitive materials have been destroyed or transported home. She'll be on the last ship out." Miller nodded, standing to look out his window at the streams of ships entering Earth's atmosphere. Each one carried humans who had built lives among the stars, only to give them up for this calculated gamble. "Sir," Tom hesitated, "do you think the Council will really try to sanction us?" "They'll try," Miller replied. "But they're about to discover something interesting about those trade agreements they never bothered to read carefully." He smiled slightly. "Turns out humans wrote most of the fine print." As another fleet of ships descended through the clouds, Miller felt both pride and sadness. Humanity had reached for the stars, only to pull back. But sometimes, he reflected, you had to leave the table to show others what they'd been taking for granted. 6 months, he murmured. Let's see how they manage without us for 6 months. 6 months after humanity's withdrawal, Representative Gray stood before the council chamber, his antennae drooping in distress. The room, once a symbol of galactic power, now felt colder and emptier without the human delegation. Medical research across 17 systems has stalled completely, he reported, his voice lacking its former arrogance. Our best minds cannot replicate the results we achieved with human biological samples. The new plague on Centauri Prime continues to spread. Around the chamber, representatives shifted uncomfortably. None wanted to admit the growing problems, but they could no longer ignore them. There's more, Representative Blue pulsed weakly. The trading routes through the spiral arm have become death traps. Pirates have taken control of 3 major shipping lanes, without human patrols, the light being flickered in distress. The economic reports were even worse. Trademaster Green's latest figures showed a 30% drop in interstellar commerce. We didn't realize, he explained to the council, how many alien merchants relied on human maintenance crews for their ships. Their repair techniques were unique, effective. Now ships are breaking down, and no one can fix them properly. In the medical district of Central Station, Dr. White slammed her fist on her desk. Another experiment had failed. Her assistants jumped at the uncharacteristic display of emotion. It's not just their genetic samples we're missing, she growled. It's their intuition, their way of looking at problems differently. Last week, I found notes from my old human colleague. He had suggested an approach that seemed absurd at the time. But now, she trailed off, staring at her failed experiment. The problems weren't limited to medicine and trade. On the agricultural world of Greenhaven, crop yields had dropped by 40%. The human agricultural experts had apparently been doing more than just following alien farming protocols. They had been quietly adapting and improving them. They called it having a green thumb, explained Farm Master Brown to his superiors. We thought it was just superstition. Now our crops are failing, and we don't know why. In the military sector, things were even worse. The pirates weren't just taking advantage of unguarded shipping lanes. They were using advanced tactics that seemed familiar. They learned from watching the humans, reported Fleet Commander Silver. Studied their patrol patterns, their combat techniques. Now they're using those same strategies against us, and our traditional defenses can't cope. The Galactic Archives, once the pride of alien civilization, had begun showing errors. The human archivists had been more than just data clerks. They had been actively maintaining and cross-referencing the vast stores of information, catching contradictions and updating records. The humans had a saying, the chief archivist told the council. Garbage in, garbage out. We didn't understand what they meant until now. Even the council chamber itself was showing signs of human absence. The crystal dome, which had always sparkled so brilliantly, was duller now. No one had realized that the human maintenance crews had developed a special cleaning technique that kept the crystal clear and vibrant. In his private chambers, Representative Gray reviewed the latest crisis reports. A message flashed on his screen. Another AI system had failed. The humans had been maintaining those too, apparently. Their primitive approach to artificial intelligence had somehow been keeping the more advanced alien systems stable. How? He chittered to himself. How did we not see their importance? The answer came from an unexpected source. A junior clerk who had worked closely with humans. They never did just one job, the clerk explained. Humans always tinkered, adjusted, improved. They couldn't help themselves. And we, the clerk hesitated. We got used to things just working better when they were around. As the council gathered for another emergency session, Representative Blue voiced what many were thinking. Perhaps we didn't understand the humans as well as we thought. Representative Black, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke. No, the scaled being rumbled. We understood them too late. The question now is, what will it take to bring them back? The chamber fell silent as the representatives contemplated their growing list of problems. Outside, another ship reported engine failure, another medical breakthrough stalled, and another trade route fell to pirates. The tremors of humanity's absence were growing into earthquakes. 1 year into human isolation, the galaxy was falling apart. The Galactic Council chamber, once gleaming and proud, now showed obvious signs of decay. Cracks spread through the crystal dome, and the air filtration systems made strange noises that no alien engineer could fix. "Another colony has gone dark," announced Representative Black, scales dulled with stress. "That's the 5th this month. Pirates have blockaded the entire Orion sector." The chamber, usually full of arguments and posturing, remained silent. Every representative had similar reports of collapse and chaos. "The Medic Guild demands action." Representative Gray's antennae twitched erratically. "Without human genetic material, our advanced treatments are failing. Diseases we cured years ago are returning. The death toll." He trailed off, unable to continue. Trademaster Green's hologram flickered as he delivered his report. The communication systems, like everything else, were deteriorating without human maintenance. "Galactic trade has fallen by 70%, his unstable image reported. "Major shipping companies are declaring bankruptcy. The economic models we relied on." The hologram flickered again. They were built with human consultation. Without their constant updates and adjustments, the models are worthless. In the military command center, Fleet Commander Silver watched helplessly as another distress beacon went dark. The pirates weren't just attacking anymore. They were organizing. Someone had leaked the classified human combat manuals, and now the raiders were using Earth's own strategies against the galaxy. "We never bothered to learn their tactics," Silver admitted to his staff. "We thought our technology was enough. We were wrong." The AI crisis hit next. The advanced artificial intelligence systems that managed everything from traffic control to power distribution began failing one by one. Alien technicians discovered that humans had been performing regular, intuitive maintenance, small adjustments and corrections that kept the AI stable. "They called it giving the machines a human touch," explained the chief AI administrator. "We thought they were just being superstitious. Now we know they were preventing cascade failures we didn't even know were possible." The food crisis struck hardest. Without human agricultural innovations, crop yields continued to plummet. Worlds that had never worried about food suddenly faced shortages. The aliens discovered that humans hadn't just been farming. They had been constantly adapting crops to local conditions, solving problems before they became critical. "They did it automatically," said Farm Master Brown, staring at his dying fields. "Every human farmer made little changes, little improvements. They called it working with the land. We called it primitive. Now our people are starving." In a secure bunker, the Council's secret archive team made a devastating discovery. They had been investigating how humans had become so essential so quickly. The truth was shocking. "Look at these reports." The lead researcher pointed to file after file. "Chemical spills prevented. Space-time anomalies stabilized. Diplomatic incidents avoided." The humans were quietly solving dozens of potential disasters every day. "We never knew because they fixed problems before they became serious enough to report." The final blow came when the Council discovered the true extent of human influence on galactic stability. A junior analyst, going through old records, found evidence that humans had been instrumental in preventing 3 different species from declaring war on each other. "They didn't do it through official channels," the analyst reported. "They just talked to people, made friends, suggested compromises. Their diplomatic corps called it having a beer together." In the Council chamber, as another section of crystal cracked overhead, Representative Blue finally said what everyone was thinking. "We didn't just underestimate them. We failed to understand their most basic nature. Humans never just existed in a system. They constantly improved it, without even being asked, without demanding recognition." Representative Black nodded slowly. "And now, without them, Representative Gray finished, everything is falling apart." The chamber's lights flickered ominously, as if emphasizing the point. Outside, Another ship disappeared from the tracking systems. Another colony called for help that wouldn't come, and another AI system began to fail. The collapse wasn't coming anymore. It was here, and only one species could stop it. The Emergency Council session was unlike any in galactic history. Every representative was present, either in person or by hologram, and not a single one showed any trace of their usual arrogance. "The motion before us is unprecedented," Representative Gray began, his voice trembling. "We must formally admit our error regarding humanity and request their return." The chamber, once filled with protests at any mention of human importance, remained silent. On the cracked display screens, reports of new disasters arrived every minute. "Let the record show," Representative Blue pulsed weakly, "that I am submitting evidence of humanity's critical role in galactic stability." The beam projected a series of images. Thriving trade routes now empty, hospitals now overwhelmed, defense systems now failing. Representative Black, whose species was known for their pride, rose slowly. "My civilization has completed our analysis of human contribution to galactic society." The massive being's scales had lost their shine. "We were wrong, catastrophically wrong." The evidence was overwhelming. Teams of analysts had finally pieced together the full picture of human influence on the galaxy. The results shocked even those who had supported closer ties with Earth. "Humans weren't just participating in our society," reported the chief analyst. "They were holding it together. Every human, from their ambassadors to their janitors, was constantly solving problems we didn't even know existed." Trade Master Green's hologram presented economic data. Their innovation rate was 17 times higher than any other species. They didn't just use our technology. They improved it, often without even realizing they were doing something remarkable. Dr. White testified next, her usual composure shattered. "My team finally understood why human medical samples were so valuable. Their genetic code doesn't just adapt, it learns. Every challenge makes them stronger. We weren't just using their biology. We were benefiting from millions of years of their evolution." The military assessment was equally humbling. Fleet Commander Silver's report showed how human military strategies had kept the peace in ways no one had noticed. "They didn't just fight pirates," he explained. "They understood them, talked to them, sometimes converted them into legitimate traders. We focused on weapons. Humans focused on people." As the evidence mounted, Representative Gray made the hardest admission of his career. "The humans were right to leave. We treated them as subordinates when they were actually the foundation of our society." Representative Blue flickered in agreement. "They gave us everything we asked for, and we gave them nothing but demands and criticism in return." The council chamber's automated systems chose that moment to fail, plunging the room into darkness. Emergency lights sputtered on, casting weak shadows across the worried faces of the representatives. "We must act now," Representative Black urged, "before it's too late, if it's not already too late." The vote was unanimous, the first unanimous vote in council history. A formal apology would be drafted, acknowledging every mistake, every dismissal, every underestimation of human value. "But will they accept it?" asked a junior representative, speaking what everyone feared. "After how we treated them." Representative Gray's antennae drooped. "We must try, and we must offer more than words. We must prove we've learned our lesson." The council worked through the night, drafting their message to Earth. They offered everything they could think of: technology sharing, equal representation, unrestricted trade rights. But everyone knew these were things humans should have had from the beginning. "Add one more thing," suggested an old ambassador who had worked closely with humans. "Admit that we need them, not just their resources or their abilities. Them, their way of thinking, their endless drive to improve things, their humanity." As the final draft was prepared, Representative Blue made a last observation. "The humans have a saying: you don't know what you've got until it's gone. I never understood it until now." The message was sent on all frequencies, through all available channels. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for Earth's response. In his office on Earth, Ambassador Miller received the Council's message. He read it slowly, carefully, then looked out at the protected, prospering Earth. Well, he said to himself, this should be interesting. Defense Minister Miller stood at Earth's central communications hub, watching as thousands of alien messages flooded the screens. After a year of isolation, Earth's position had never been stronger. Another distress call from the Medical Guild, reported Tom, now Miller's senior advisor. 3 more hospital systems have failed. They're begging for human medical personnel. He paused, checking another screen. And the trading consortium is offering us control of major shipping routes. Miller walked along the rows of screens, each showing desperate pleas from different alien civilizations. Some offered technology, others promised political power, and a few simply begged for help. Play the latest council message, Miller ordered. Representative Gray's hologram appeared, looking broken and humble. Earth, we admit our complete failure to recognize your true value. The galaxy needs you, not as subordinates, but as leaders. Please respond. In the Great Assembly Hall of Earth's government, human leaders from around the world gathered to debate their response. The room buzzed with different opinions and suggestions. We could demand complete autonomy, suggested one official. They're desperate enough to give it. Or we could ask for their most advanced technology, offered another. They can't refuse us now. But older voices urged caution. Admiral Williams, who had commanded Earth's space forces, stood to speak. We didn't withdraw to gain power. We withdrew to gain respect. There's a difference. The debate continued for hours. Earth had achieved what it wanted. The aliens finally understood humanity's value. But now came the harder question. What to do with that understanding? In his private office, Miller reviewed records from before the withdrawal. Images of humans working alongside aliens, solving problems, building relationships. Despite the Council's arrogance, many ordinary aliens and humans have formed genuine friendships. Sir, Tom interrupted his thoughts. We're receiving personal messages now, not just from officials. He displayed a series of recordings. An alien child asking when their human teacher would return. A merchant missing their human business partner. A scientist wondering when their human colleague would come back to help in the laboratory. They're not all about politics or resources, Tom noted. Some of them just miss us. Miller nodded slowly. Because humans don't just fix problems. We build connections. The Earth government's debate reached its final stages. They had 3 options: maintain isolation, return with demands for power, or find a middle path. We could return triumphantly, said one leader. Make them grovel. Or we could return as equals, suggested another. Show them that true strength includes mercy. In orbit around Earth, the defense fleet remained strong, ships constantly patrolling. But their commanders had noticed something. The alien vessels that approached now weren't trying to break through. They were leaving gifts, art, music, personal messages. They're not just trying to bribe us, reported Fleet Captain Rogers. They're trying to rebuild relationships. Back in his office, Miller prepared Earth's official response. He thought about the past year, how Earth had prospered in isolation, but also what had been lost. Humanity had proven it could survive alone, but that wasn't the same as truly living. Sir, Tom entered with a final report. The Council has agreed to all our basic conditions, even before we officially stated them. Equal representation, technology sharing, everything. Miller looked at the report, then at the stars visible through his window. You know, Tom, the aliens thought we withdrew because we were angry. But that wasn't it. No. We withdrew because sometimes the only way to teach a lesson is to let others learn it for themselves. The response Miller drafted was not what anyone expected, not the aliens, and not even many humans. It wasn't a list of demands or a show of triumph. Instead, it was an invitation to build something new. As he prepared to send Earth's message, Miller remembered something his grandfather used to say. True strength isn't about having power over others. It's about having the wisdom to use power well. The galaxy was about to learn what humanity had known all along, that true progress comes not from domination, but from cooperation. Miller pressed the transmit button. The Great Hall of Reconciliation, built specially for this moment, combined the best of human and alien architecture. Sunlight streamed through a crystal dome, stronger than the old council chambers, reinforced by human engineering. Miller stood before the assembled representatives of every spacefaring race, his voice carrying clearly through the perfect acoustics. Earth accepts its return to galactic society, not as subordinates, not as rulers, but as true partners. The relief in the room was almost physical. Several representatives looked ready to collapse from tension release. However, Miller continued, "There will be changes. The old council is dissolved. In its place, we will build something new together, something better." He activated a holographic display showing the new structure of galactic governance. No species would rule over others. Instead, each would contribute their strengths to the whole. "Humans will share our innovation and problem-solving abilities freely," Miller explained. "In return, we expect the same openness from others. No more hoarding of knowledge. No more artificial restrictions." Representative Gray, no longer speaking from a position of authority, but as an equal, raised his antenna in agreement. "We accept these terms without reservation." The new system was already taking shape. Human doctors worked alongside alien healers, combining their approaches. Human engineers collaborated with alien scientists, creating technologies neither could have developed alone. "Look at this," Tom said to Miller, showing him reports from across the galaxy. Pirates were being integrated into legitimate trade operations. Failing colonies were being revitalized. Disease outbreaks were being contained and cured. But the biggest change was in the relationships. Humans weren't just fixing problems anymore. They were teaching others how to fix problems themselves. "It's like teaching someone to fish," explained a human instructor to her alien students. "We're not here to do everything for you. We're here to show you how we think, how we solve problems." The aliens, to everyone's surprise, proved to be eager students. Without the old hierarchy getting in the way, many showed remarkable ability to adapt and innovate. "We never knew we could think this way," admitted Representative Blue. "We were so focused on maintaining tradition that we forgot to question if there might be better ways." In orbit around Earth, the defense fleet now included ships from every species, training together, learning from each other. Human tactical innovation combined with alien technology created security systems far better than either had achieved alone. "The pirates don't stand a chance now," grinned Fleet Captain Rogers, watching mixed crews work seamlessly together. "Turns out we're all stronger when we work together." The economic recovery was faster than anyone expected. With humans back in the galaxy, trade routes reopened, but now they were run more efficiently, more fairly. The market stabilized as human creativity merged with alien precision. In his new office, overlooking the bustling spaceport of the joint human-alien capital city, Miller read reports of the galaxy's transformation. Crime was down. Trade was up. Scientific breakthroughs were happening daily. "Sir," Tom entered with the latest statistics. "The last holdout systems have joined the new alliance. The galaxy is united, truly united, for the first time in history." Miller nodded, remembering the long path that had led here. "Not through force or fear," he mused, "but through understanding and respect." Outside his window, ships of all designs moved through the sky. Human children played with alien young in the parks below. In laboratories and workshops, markets and schools, spaces stations and colonies, species worked together as equals. "You know what the funny thing is?" Miller said to Tom. "We didn't have to change who we were. We just had to help them understand who we are." The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their biology or even their problem-solving skills. It was their ability to bring out the best in others, to show them possibilities they'd never imagined. As the three suns set on the new capital, Miller thought about the future. The galaxy wasn't perfect. There would always be problems to solve, challenges to face. But now, they would face them together, each species contributing their unique strengths to the whole. It wasn't just a new era for humanity. It was a new era for everyone. And it was just beginning.